Hey guys, Jacqueline Fernandez here at the Alert Center. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Today we are discussing back to school because if you're not already back to school, you're heading back this week, you've already headed back or you're planning on heading back or you're in one of those categories, right? So a lot going on with the children and back to school. First it was shopping and now they're actually wearing all their cool clothes in their backpacks and have all their colored pencils and stuff. So before you're off the hook though, as a parent, which I'm told you never really are, regardless though, you need to know about internet safety. So talking with your children about internet safety is a big deal. Joining us now to explain how exactly we should do that is the Better Business Bureau's Josh Plano. So Josh, thanks so much for being with us here at the Alert Center again. We appreciate your time as always.
Thank you for having me, Jacqueline. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course, yeah. So we're talking about back to school internet safety tips, technology clearly playing a huge role in the workplace and in the school place. So starting out, what are the top three tips for families, would you say, when it comes to navigating online safety for children?
Yeah, so our first tip is to teach the pause before you post rule. Once something goes online, it can stay there forever and can be seen by just about anyone. So, always good to know what the criteria is for having a post in general before you get started. Our second tip is to create a no secrets communications policy where children can feel safe coming to their parents about anything uncomfortable that they experience online. And then that leads right into the last tip that we have, which is to discuss the reality of online predators. Much as we'd like to think that the internet has connected everybody and it's been a wonderful experience for all, we know that that's not always the case. And it can be really difficult for children to know who they're connecting with and whether that person has their best intentions in mind.
Yeah, so it is very important, I might say, to know what your child is specifically doing online, right? You want to make sure you're in the know as a parent or guardian.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, a lot of these relationships that we hear about through scam tracker reports or criminal reports involve people who very, very rapidly develop relationships with people that they don't know. So a lot of time, this communication has a real velocity to it that is completely alien to those of us who grew up off of a cell phone, who grew up off of the internet. And as a result, the willingness for the parent to intervene and the uh, attention to detail that's necessary for parenting in 2025, particularly with things like online harassment, is extraordinarily different than parents of yesteryear. And new technologies come out each and every week, and a lot of the kids are on those technologies. They're on those platforms, and you want to make sure that that's as safe as an environment as it possibly can be for your child.
Yeah, and let's be real. I mean, some of these students probably know more about being online and the ins and outs of it than you do, right? So, I mean, you can kind of educate each other and just be honest with your student about, what is acceptable for your family, your household, and what isn't. So I think just having that open communication is probably key when it comes to that. But for the younger ones, though, one thing that I think is important to note, beware of downloading free media, okay? Because there's a lot of clickbait out there, so to speak. Can you speak to that for us, Josh?
Yeah, it turns out there's a lot of things that are hidden in those details of what is actually downloaded. So, how many of us download a mobile app and then proceed to never return to it over many months, if not ever? Right? I know I'm a part of that community. There's a lot of information that's being collected on us at all times if we are not in the know on what the privacy settings and location sharing services, what settings are enabled on our accounts. Anytime you download anything, there's typically a cost. And in 2025, that cost often looks like your personal information. So you provide a lot of biographical information. That information is then collected on you. There's targeting going on in the background on your mobile app to be able to, in some cases, place ads that you might be interested in. And in other cases, put you in areas of the internet, areas online that you never would explore and you don't want to be. In. So I think there's a lot of information that sadly is lost in under the guise of a free opportunity or a free lunch. And Jacqueline, as you and I know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So there should be a criteria, frankly, for you to consider even downloading anything or subscribing to anything, because a lot of that information is collected upon you, and it does follow you over time.
Yeah, it certainly does. All right, Josh. Well, thanks so much for joining us here at the Alert Center this afternoon. I appreciate your time as always.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Have a good day. Okay. So, if you are just joining us here at the Alert Center, I want to say thank you so much for doing so. We were just speaking with Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau to talk about back to school safety tips for being online. So this is for students and parents, caregivers, just a way to just make sure that you're both on the same page when it comes to the do's and don'ts for being safe online. Okay, now we want to chat a little bit about the weather. We're going to discuss our First Alert 6 weather forecast with you today from Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord. But before we do so, I do want to have you take a live look outside. This is from our Blackstone camera. So Rusty anticipates decreasing clouds today, so that's good news. You can see the sun poking through in this shot right here. A 20% chance of showers, though, between 3 and 7 p.m., so we'll have to stay tuned for that. A high of 85. Rusty anticipates mostly clear tonight with a low of 62. Then let's head out to 14th and Dodge if we can. Now, Wednesday, mostly sunny conditions out there, a high of 86. And then Thursday, a 20% chance of morning storms and windy with a high of 88. So it doesn't seem too bad out there, but of course we'll have to see how this forecast updates as we go throughout the day and into the remaining of our work week. Now, for the latest and greatest news-wise, you can always head to our website. That's firstalert6.com, and you can see the latest stories that our digital team, Woot Woot, is working on for us there as well. But of course, you want to stay tuned to our broadcast at 3 p.m. with our Dave Zavolinsky as well. So we'll hope to see you there at 3. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully that sun really does start to come out. Enjoy it while you can.